Greetings everybody, my name is Don Gordon. Welcome to Little Gordon Family. Hello, what is up guys, I'm your host Gordon and welcome to another one of my video. I'm really sorry about my intro just now, it's kind of funny, I just can't handle it. Today, we got ourselves a fireable, shell-ejecting golden Desert Eagle blaster. I mean seriously, the whole reason of my intro just now is because of the Desert Eagle is actually gold. It kind of looks like one of those dawn vibes in it. Seriously, I've never thought of one day I will actually get myself a gold Desert Eagle. Just like I've never thought of Mac Potato is able to help me to find me one of these. Mac Potato is a local Malaysia online foam dart blaster seller who sells rare imported foam dart blaster just like this guy over here and a little bit of gel blaster. So if you guys are interested to get yourself one of these or wanted to know more newsletters of new blaster release, Mac Potato started their very own server as well as their very own website. The link is in the description down below. In the box, we got the blaster itself, 6 shells, a bag of plastic darts, and a manual. The blaster comes with these spring-loaded shells as well as these tiny darts where you have to push the darts into the shell until you hear a click. Okay, first look at the blaster. As you can see, the silhouette of this blaster over here is definitely a Deagle, aka Desert Eagle. And of course, it is in one of my favorite color, which is gold. And it's not exactly the kind of gold that I've been wanting to have. This is pretty close enough. I wanted something like those chrome gold, like those are real stuff. Like I definitely don't want to get myself into trouble. I think this is good enough. This is just a toy. I'm pretty sure those who had watched my video are very familiar with this fireable Glock blaster over here. And yes, this is technically a similar blaster with the Glock, just that this version over here is cheaper. And I'm gonna tell you why. You see, I've received a lot of DMs, a lot of comments of asking me why this thing over here is very expensive. One of the main reasons is because of the material. This Glock over here is made out of like super thick plastic and a lot of metal parts as well, like metal trigger, metal slide release lever, like metal barrel, you know, lots of metal parts. This over here is a cheaper version. One of the main reasons is that they're stripped down a lot of those metal parts, but it still functions the same. Even though it doesn't really have the aluminum barrel, it doesn't have the metal trigger, it doesn't have the metal release lever, this blaster can still eject shells, it is fireable, and not to mention that it has one of those slide lock mechanism as well. And let us not forget the most important part, it is semi-auto shell ejection. That is cool. The build quality of this blaster is of course toy level. It is pretty obvious that the quality of this plastic is slightly lower than the quality of the plastic of my previous Glock. But so far, even though it feels like a toy, it is actually pretty solid. The paint job, however, even though I really like the aesthetic of this blaster in gold, it is actually not the best paint job in the world. On the surface, it looks okay. It's definitely okay, no problem. But when we actually push the slide release lever up, you will see there's actually a little bit of paint defect. So I'm pretty sure that they actually assemble most of the parts of this blaster and they just spray paint the whole thing in gold. But you don't really solve that unpainted part that often unless you push up the slide release lever. So I can just let this issue slide off, no pun intended. And due to the reduction of metal parts, the blaster is of course lighter than the Glock. The Picatinny reel situation, however, this blaster actually got an upper hand because it actually comes with a Picatinny reel right under the blaster, just in case you are into, you know, putting on flashlights or lasers. Same goes to the Glock. Some part of this blaster is of course fake. For example, the hammer of this blaster is of course fake. It is for aesthetic purposes. And of course, not to mention that a fake safety switch. Speaking about similarity, the blaster also comes with the exact same shell with the Glock, which is the shell that is spring-loaded and you actually need to put one of those plastic darts into the shell, and when the blaster hit the button right behind the shell when you pull the trigger, it will propel the plastic dart out of the shell, which is exactly the same with the Glock over here. If you think this Glock is a little too expensive, you can go with the Desert Eagle over here. Overall, the grip is actually pretty comfortable, the trigger pull is nice and solid, the slide release lever works like a charm as well. And in the same time, this blaster also feels really nice to spin as well, if you're into blaster spinning. So yeah, enough of me talking. Without further ado, let us go test the blaster out. Okay, we are back. So it is expected the performance of this blaster is actually pretty much identical with the Glock over there. This blaster can actually shoot from 44 FPS all the way to 54 FPS, pretty standard for these kind of blasters. As usual, it might shoot over 40 FPS and sometimes even over 50 FPS. The maximum shooting range is just around 3 meters. Yeah, because those plastic is a little bit on the lighter side. Similar with the accuracy, in 3 meters, this blaster can actually be pretty accurate. So hitting targets is definitely not an issue. Operating this blaster so far, I did not encounter any jams yet, which is a good thing despite, all the tone down of the materials. And I even accidentally dropped it once during the testing. So far, nothing breaks yet, which is a good sign. All the parts seems to be still functioning. So even though they actually took out a lot of those metal parts and even toned down the quality of the plastic, seems like they did not compromise the build quality just yet. Because, I haven't tested like long enough to encounter any problems. So for now, I would say that everything works just fine. By the time of this video, I've did about 100 shots out of this blaster. So far, everything works. And there is actually one complaint about this blaster, is the iron sight. As you can see, you have an iron sight at the back of the blaster, but you do not have an iron sight in front of the blaster over here, which makes this blaster a little harder to aim than usual. If you are not a good eyeballer like me, I'm not trying to boast or anything, you might need a little bit of time to get used to operating this blaster. And in the same time, if you are a collector like me or like to display blaster on the wall or on the table, this might be the blaster that you might like. So yep, that's all for today, guys. Like this video if you like it, dislike this video if you do not like it, subscribe if you haven't already, and of course I'm going to see you in the next video. Adios, guys!